Here in a place that speaks to everyone's inner child, we've got another poet to showcase with a poem that seems most appropriate.
Jeanette Powers manages the Uptown Arts Bar. In fact, she's helped us find some of the poets we've featured so far on Arts Upload.
But this week, Jeanette does the honors herself on a poem called Little Jenny Sue. Justin Bond is the producer and videographer.
Someone once asked me, what advice would you give to your younger self? Dear little Jenny Sue, remember how today you realized that with your imagination, you're completely free? That's not a question, it's a statement. Remember how today you realized that with your imagination, you're completely free. This is the most important moment of your life. It is the earmark by which you will hear everything that comes after. I see you in rainbow suspenders with a book on the playground, and I'm not going to give you one bit of advice. I'm not going to school you or whip you from my 2020 high horse. And the thing about it is, you won't let anyone else either. You are what we nicely call strong-willed, stubborn as a headstrong little girl. And anyways, Uncle Dwayne already told you, you ain't like them other cats. Don't let them scratch it into you. Little Jenny Sue, you are 6 years old and the world is right in front of you. You are curious as a nine-tailed fox chatting with a fat man under a laurel tree. You are bright-eyed as a first roller coaster ride, carefree as the first green leaf of spring. You trust the world so much. You leap from playground swings while blindfolded. You believe wings will burst forth from your shoulder blades and lift you skyward. You believe the fall will not be fatal, that you will always walk away unharmed. I bet it's all those books that taught you that. It's good you love the library. It's good you wrap your little ponies in shoestrings to play Tutankhamen. It's good you colored the sailboat instead of the butterfly. It's good you tried to brush the dog's teeth. You will hold that dog in your arms when she dies, because your heart is overflowing with love. Little Jenny Sue, you are curious. You ride horses bareback. You talk to squirrels and they talk back. They say, you ain't like them other nuts. Don't let them crack you. And all I really want to say to you is this. Hey kid, keep playing, keep climbing trees, keep inventing constellations, keep winking at everyone, keep running around naked. You ain't like them other bananas. Don't let them peel you. And they're gonna try to. They're gonna try to put you in timeout, to send you to bed without dinner. They're gonna try to ground you. But today, you realized that with your imagination, you're completely free.